Just let me know whenever it's good. Oh, there we go.
There we
Perfect.
go.
Awesome. So yeah, as I was saying, I'm gonna go into my story a little bit first, just so you have an understanding of who I am and how this work actually applies to your life. Okay. And as I said, take this seriously, be present with this. In the same sense, if anyone has questions, feel free to throw it in the chat. More than happy for this to be interactive, for people to ask questions throughout it. Because, I went from being, just getting by and working so hard, wanting to change my results so bad to when I started this work to after, now at this point, being a millionaire, being able to travel around the world, do what we want. I retired my wife from corporate earlier this year and just living a life that I always dreamed of. And I love the name of your team. For the people on here, if you do feel like you're made for more, there is a reason for that. You would not have that desire in your heart if it wasn't meant for you. So I want you to really accept that today. Okay. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story, like I said to start. I found this work. I was lucky enough to find it when I was young. I think I was like 20 or 21 years old. And I had just gotten freshly licensed. I was in real estate. And I heard that a mindset and manifestation coach was coming to speak to our brokerage. Now, has anyone here heard of Bob Proctor? I know Kayla definitely has. Has anyone heard about? Okay, a couple hands. So I heard that a Bob Proctor coach was coming to speak to our brokerage, and it was a manifestation coach. I'll be completely transparent. At the time, I was not into personal development. I definitely had a big ego. If anyone knows someone with a big ego, that was probably me. Okay. And when I heard that a manifestation coach was coming in to speak to our brokerage, I was not particularly excited. I didn't really know how to feel about the concept. At the time, I didn't understand it. So I thought it was woo woo. And, that led to me being a little bit closed off at the beginning. Now, she walks into the room and she just looks around and she stops, looks right at me. And she says, "Tell me what you want, and I'll show you exactly how to get it." Now, I'm going to be honest, I thought that was a pretty wild claim. As I said, I was kind of closed off to it. So I was like, how could someone say that? That's a wild claim. This is crazy. And she looked around and she said it again. "Tell me what you want, and I will show you how to get it." Now, although I thought it was a wild claim, I was intrigued, as I'm sure anyone would be, right? I did have a sense that she knew something that I did not. And so I was open enough to sit through it. And as she talked, I opened up a little more and a little more and a little more. At a certain point in the training, she said, "If you hear a universal truth, it will vibrate within every fiber of your being." And I actually felt that. She was right. There were things that she was saying that I didn't fully intellectually understand, but my body felt different. There was a different energy in this room. And that was all that I needed to lean into. So I kept leaning in and I started questioning my own beliefs. I started questioning my thinking or even who I actually was. And at the end of the training, she did a visualization. And, again, like I said, I'd never even meditated before. I'd never done a visualization. Has anyone here like consciously visualized, like actually intentionally visualized? Couple people. Beautiful. So she ran a visualization and I saw my dream life so clearly that I just started to cry. So I was in this boardroom full of realtors. I was probably the youngest in the room by at least 10 years. And I was sitting there crying, like actually bawling. And something changed in me that day. For the first time, I actually did believe that I was made for more. I actually felt it in my gut. I knew that whatever life I just saw had to exist because it felt far too real for that not to exist out there. And so after I beelined straight to her and I said, I don't know, what this is about. Tell me what I got to do. I want to be in the room with you. And she told me the price of her program, and I said, yeah, never mind. Now, at the time, I thought that I couldn't do it because I didn't have the money. I'll later find out it actually just was me not knowing how to make decisions. At the time, I didn't know how I would even do that. So I go on for the next probably 6 to 8 months and I'm trying to make it work. Has anyone heard the book Think and Grow Rich? Has anyone heard that book? Pretty popular book. And I heard that coach was saying, if you keep reading it, study it, don't read it, study it. And so that's what I did. And I studied that book. I think I went front to back probably 3 times over the next 6 to 8 months. And I was trying hard. Like, let me tell you, I was working so hard, thinking that if I worked harder, I would produce better results. Now, over that 6 to 8 months, I actually did see little jumps in income. And I'm sure some people have experienced this before. You're pushing so hard and you're working really hard for it. And you're seeing like these little increases in your results, but for some reason, you keep ending up back at the same place. Or if they actually do change for longer term, it's just like a little bit better. I wasn't seeing the quantum leap, if anyone's heard that term. I wasn't seeing the quantum leap that I really wanted for my life. I wanted to be living a completely different life than I was. And so after 6 to 8 months, I went back to that coach and I said, listen, I will do whatever it takes. Whatever I can do to get in the room, I'll do. At first, it was like literally just like weekend things she would do and this, that, and the other. Until finally, I got to a point where I said, you know what? I'll do what it takes. I'll go in for that high ticket program. The first time I paid for a high ticket coaching program, her program was, I think it was like 25 grand Canadian. And I had $11,000 in my account. I ended up paying, I think it was like the first two payment plans. I did a payment plan, had the first two payments, had no clue where the other payments were coming from. And when I got into the program, there were two things she told me right away. The first one was that my goals were too small. We'll get into goals today. But at the time, I just so badly wanted to double. And she said that doubling my income was not enough. Doubling my income wasn't enough. So she pushed me. I gave her pushback. We ended up setting a goal for triple my income. Okay. The second thing that she told me was that I had a self-image problem. Now, I told you before, I kind of had a big ego back. So for her to tell me I had a self-image problem didn't really resonate with me. I was like, what are you talking about? I got this. As we went deeper, as we started to actually reveal the patterns, the thinking, the stories that were underneath my level of consciousness, I realized she was 100% right. Now, over the next 8 months after that, from working with her, I went on to triple my income from the year before. It took me 8 months. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will understand this. As soon as I tripled my income, what do you think I said? Well, if I could have anything, why didn't I set a bigger goal? Just like she tried to get me to do up front. Okay. Now, from there, we did a lot of incredible things. I ended up selling over $100 million worth of real estate before the age of 25. I went on to create a software company from the ground up with no background in software. I was the visionary. I'll tell you guys, I do not know anything about software. And ended up getting into the coaching industry. I built my own coaching business from zero to having $100,000 months within 9 months. Okay. So I'll tell you all today, take what I'm saying seriously. Come with an open mind. And I would even ask yourself, what would your life look like if you were making $100,000 months, let's say, within 2 years from now? What would that look like? Okay. So again, if anyone has questions at any time, feel free to put it in the chat. But I want everyone to start with understanding something very important. Has anyone here heard the term paradigm before? Paradigm. See a couple nods. So I used to say from when we were born until this point now, our way of thinking and feeling has been conditioned. Now, it's interesting. There's actually science out there that now shows your conditioning starts when you were in the womb, quite literally. Because an emotion, what is an emotion? It's a chemical reaction in your body. That chemical reaction is actually going to the baby as well. And that baby comes out actually already having some sort of programming. So you are programmed from as soon as are conceived until this moment right now. And think about it. How does society, your parents, your teachers, your peers, what do they think and feel about money, about success, about going a different path, entrepreneurship, right? So this program, this is what actually forms our programming. And we think through a very limited way, a very limited way. Now, I'll tell everyone here right now, there is a part of you that is infinite. That is infinite. You have infinite potential that you can tap into at all times. But you are living through a filter that is allowing such a very small amount of that infinite potential to squeeze through. And I will bet, I would actually put money on that there are $1 million ideas in this room right now. There are people who have incredible ideas all the time, but because their programming doesn't actually harmonize with that idea, it doesn't work through you and move out into the world. It doesn't. So I'm curious if anyone's heard this stat. I think it's by the time you are 25 or 30, between there, your brain develops to a certain point. And they actually say that 95% of the thoughts that you think on a day-to-day basis are the same as the day before. 95%. Now, if 95% of your thoughts and feelings are the same as the day before, how can you expect different results? So, our job isn't to change our conscious thinking. Our job is to get into the subconscious mind. That is where the programming lives. That is where your paradigm is. And you have to get into the subconscious mind and shift your automatic way of thinking and feeling at the root. So, this paradigm is made up of a collection of beliefs, feelings, and they're all habitual. Beliefs about yourself, beliefs about how the world works, beliefs about what's a lot of money or not a lot of money. And your subconscious mind is connected to your body. So, this is why, if anyone has ever had a nervous system response to thinking of larger amounts of money or just certain amounts of success, it's because it is beyond your current baseline, your automatic capacity that your nervous system can hold. So if you want to have $100,000 months as an example, you are going to have to expand your nervous system's capacity to feel normal, safe with that amount of money if you ever want to experience it. And one of the basis of your paradigm, one of the biggest key pillars is your identity. So I want everyone to either write this question down or sit with this question for a second. What is the story you are telling yourself about yourself? What is the story you're telling yourself about yourself? Now, what's interesting is with certain questions, you can actually make the unconscious conscious because there's been some kind of story running underneath your level of awareness. You haven't been aware it's been running, actually running everything in your entire life. So going back to when I worked with that coach, she told me I had a self-image problem. And when we got into making the unconscious conscious, I realized that the story I was telling myself at that time was that people wouldn't take me seriously selling real estate because I was young. Now, I want everyone to sit with this. It's been proven that communication is only 7% verbal. 7% of communication is verbal. So if you are focusing on what to say, you're only dealing with a very small percentage of what would actually produce a result or how to actually help someone. So when I started to learn about the self-image, one of the things I did, I went through this process of mental and emotional reconditioning, getting into the root of the paradigm, the stories I was telling myself, the programming, and shifting it at the root. And I started to believe in my heart that I was the kind of real estate agent that could sell tens of millions of dollars of real estate like it was nothing, like it was a normal thing to me. And because of this shift, what do you think changed? The energy that I was broadcasting moment to moment was actually different. It didn't matter about what I said. My energy was different, and people could feel that and pick that up in every single conversation. So if you really want to think of something crazy, I told you I tripled my income in 8 months. Guess what I also did? When I tripled my income, I went from making 100 cold calls a day before when I wasn't able to make it work to only 10 cold calls in a day and tripled my income with 1/10 of the output. So if you do think that it's hard work alone that will produce results, you have to stop that thought in its tracks right now. You have to understand that you are broadcasting a vibration at all points, and everyone around you can pick it up subconsciously without them even realizing. When I would call people before, people would feel the vibration I had of not being taken seriously. And they would subconsciously pick it up and think that I wasn't the person to help them. And after I emotionally shifted who I believed myself to be, people could feel that I believed with all of my heart that I would be the best person to help them sell their home. So ask yourself, what is the story you're telling yourself about yourself? What is holding you back from experiencing more of that infinite potential that's trying to flow through you? What would your life be like if you could open up more of that potential and effortlessly experience more? What would it be like? So I'll tell you, everyone on this call has the ability to become any kind of person they desire. Any kind of person. And through physics, I've gone deep, over my decade or whatever it is in this work. I've gone deep into neuroscience, quantum physics, everything I could learn to unlock more of that infinite potential. And when I got to a certain point where I was able to shift my results repeatedly so fast, I got to a point in my journey where I realized I had to help other people do this. This is what I was meant to do. So, to everyone who is probably still thinking too small, I want you to get serious about a goal. Okay. Everyone should have a goal here. If you don't have a goal, I want you to think about it. What amount of money would you want to make? Money is measurable, so it's easy. We'll go with money. What amount of money would you want to be making 1 year from now? How much money per month would satisfy the lifestyle that you want? Maybe allow you to give back or help someone else, get you out of a job, maybe spend the winter in Florida, like Heather was saying. What would that goal be? Now, if you've written a goal down, I want you to just think about it. Is this goal something that you think you can do? Or is this what you really want? Like, if you could have anything, any kind of life, you just have to tell me what it is, and I'll grant your wish. Does that goal reflect like your true dream life? And if that goal doesn't reflect your true dream life, I want you to write down one that really does. If you could have any amount of money, any kind of lifestyle, doing something that really fills your cup, what would it be? And when you start to think about that, I want you to ask the next question. How would it feel to be experiencing that life? How would it feel to spend your winters in Florida, to retire your partner maybe, to buy the purple Porsche with the tan leather seats or whatever car is in the screen of your mind when you think of your dream car? Now, when most people set goals, they set goals through the lens of what they think they can experience. And it's not how you set goals. I actually really like Bob Proctor. I was blessed enough to do some programs with Bob Proctor before he passed away. I think it was 2019 or 2020 when he passed away. And I learned a really incredible framework for setting goals. An A goal is a goal that you've hit before, technically. So an A goal, I bought a Mercedes Benz. Let's say I had a goal to buy a new Mercedes Benz. Well, like, technically I've done that before, right? I've had people making 200 grand a year and they say, yeah, I just want to make 200 grand again next year. Well, we've already done that before. That's not a real goal. It's a maintenance goal. But if you think of the world and, inflation and how things are going, a maintenance goal is not you getting ahead in any way or actually losing if you keep that. So that's an A goal. A B goal is a goal where you can logically see how you would hit it. So it's like, okay, I did 200 grand this year. If I do X, Y, and Z next year, maybe I'll be able to hit 220 grand. Another mentor of mine would call these addition goals, right? Whatever you did before plus a little bit. Now, a C goal is the kind of goals that I want you to set here today. A C goal is a goal where you have no clue how you are going to make that happen. That's what a C goal is. A C goal is a true multiplication of your income. Now, even when people in my programs try and set like 2x goals, personally, I don't think it's enough. I usually go for like 4 or 5x on the low end, up to 10 to 12x within a year. Now, the first thing that happens when people set their big goal is they'll come to me and they'll say, Adam, I'm stressed out. That's too big. I don't know how. First of all, I will tell you right now, the how is not up to you. What's up to you, your job is to do the inner work, to get on the vibration of that goal. And everything required for the fulfillment of that goal will be attracted and come into play. So the how isn't up to you. The second thing, just think about it. Why would making more money stress you out? It's not the goal itself that's stressing you out. It's whatever narratives, whatever your programming is attaching to that goal. Sometimes when people set bigger goals, they say, I don't want to be seen on that level. I don't want to have to work as hard as I have to be able to make that money. Those are paradigms. Who said you have to work any harder? All you have to do is think differently. And what those paradigms are revealing are your stories that it is then your responsibility to change and to shift. And I want to make something clear because when you start to understand the programming and the paradigm, I've seen people be upset with their family, with their parents, because they did this to us. Listen, it is not your fault that you have this programming, but it is your responsibility going forward to change that programming. So when you set this big goal, all of those stories are going to come right to the forefront. The worry, the doubt, I'm not worthy is something I hear all the time. And it's nothing to get upset about. It is information for you to use so that we know what we need to start shifting. Think of my story. If I didn't realize that I actually thought that people wouldn't take me seriously, I wouldn't have known where to do the inner work. I wouldn't have known what stories I needed to shift. This is the process of mental reconditioning. And sometimes when people have an awareness of what's going on underneath, they can think it's a step backwards because they think something's wrong with them or they see their limitations. They have to stare them right in the face. It is not a step backwards. The awareness of knowing what stories are dictating your life right now is a win. Because again, then we know what work has to be done and where. So when you're setting your goal, it should scare you. It should freak you out a little bit. And guess what? Then we get to do the work to start harmonizing with that idea. Because all money is an idea. And those who can consent to the idea will make the money. That's how it works. Now, I'll stop quickly there for a second. I know I've been going. Sometimes when I get going, it's a little hard for me to stop, but I'll stop there for a second quickly. Does anyone have any questions coming up?
Maybe Adam, you can explain to everybody. I don't know if it was clear for everybody, but the goal that you're setting, is it per month, like what you want to make per month, or is it what you want to make per year? My screen keeps zooming in and out. I don't know how to change it.
It's okay. It's entertaining. It's a little comic relief. So it's up to you.
Okay,
Monthly or yearly is up to you.
okay,
I usually recommend monthly. I think that
okay.
monthly goal is a great way to track everything, but it can be yearly or monthly at the end of the day.
And when should people stop on a number? When they feel their heart race, when their palms sweat? Like, can you tell everybody how to get to the goal that scares them?
Yeah, I would think about the life that you really genuinely want
Okay.
and reverse engineer it from there. And when you're doing that, it should be a multiple. Like I said, like it has to be a multiplication goal. 4 to 5x is usually what I tell my clients to do at the minimum. If you're super uncomfortable, like feel nauseous setting that, maybe 3x. But remember, all we're then doing is harmonizing with that idea. That's all we have to do. And what are we doing through this process? We're harmonizing with nature because we are a part of nature. We are abundant by nature. And if you look at nature, everything multiplies. So why would we think that we shouldn't also set multiplication goals? Think of an apple tree. An apple tree grows, it produces a ton of apples. Those apples fall to the ground, the seeds go into the ground, a new apple tree grows. So one apple tree produces infinite apples. Everything in nature multiplies. This is why us harmonizing and aligning with the universal laws is actually what's going to make our goals easier, not harder. There's a book called 10x is easier than 2x because it's true. Most people aren't thinking in terms of 10x goals. Such a small percentage of the population is actually playing that game. It makes it easier to play that game. And when you set your goal, I want you to make a clear, committed decision. You are making an agreement with the universe and with yourself that you will step into that person and fully commit to the fruition of that goal until that date. That is how you set a proper goal. I'll tell everyone right now, the first month that I hit $100,000 in a month, I hit it on the exact date that I wrote down.
And so what's a realistic time frame for everyone to put for a
I
goal?
recommend a year. And then you commit to that for an entire year without any excuses, without questioning, without worrying, without doubt. For that entire year, you step into the consciousness of the person who's already produced it. Now, there's a mental reconditioning process as well that you'll go through, right? I don't have time to go through all of it here. Um, but there's a process of mental reconditioning that you go through to actually harmonize with that goal. And I'll give you one of the first steps for now because, I want to give you as much as I can in this time here. As I said, it's a process though. There's more to it. And I tell people, I can help you create any kind of life as long as you are willing to commit to the process of mental reconditioning. If you're willing to commit to it, you can have anything. I have clients who have gone from 8 grand a month to 100 grand a month in 7 months. You just have to commit to the process. Okay. So I'll give you the head start, the first step right now. The paradigm is in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the emotional or feeling mind. That's what it is. It's the emotional or feeling mind. Your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what is experienced in vivid imagination and what is experienced in physical reality. So that's why I mentioned visualization before. If you visualize and feel the feelings and bring as many of your senses in, touch, taste, smell, and you experience it in vivid detail, your paradigm, your subconscious mind will start to believe you are that person. And then what happens? You're sending a different signal. You're actually broadcasting different energy to every single person around you at all times. You're naturally attracting the conversations, the clients, the opportunities to step into. Now, it is still your job to step into them. That's something I want everyone to understand. Because some people in this world of manifestation think that you're going to sit in a dark room and you're going to visualize and everything's going to fall in your lap. No, you will attract everything required for its fruition. It is still up to you to step into and accept those opportunities. Now I'll stop there again. Does anyone else have any questions and or um, I love visualizations. If you guys want, I'd be more than happy to run a visualization with everyone. I think it'd be great. But you guys tell me, any questions? Do you guys want to do a visualization? We'll take it from there.
Yes.
Yes, I want to do a visualization. I also have another question.
Hmm.
Well, not really a question. I just really want everyone to hear it from you. How do you step into the version of yourself that already has everything you want?
The word embody means emotional body. You have to feel like the person who has everything. So it's a very common phrase you'll hear in this work. Be, do, have. You can be, do, and have anything. And most people don't realize it's in order for a reason. You have to be the person. Be the person you desire to be. That will lead to doing the things that that person will do. And then you can have the things that that person would have. It's in order for a reason. So I'll tell you, when I first stepped into coaching, I told you guys I set an $100,000 a month goal. I had another friend who stepped into coaching at the same time, and he didn't understand this work. He wasn't in it like I was. He probably makes 12 grand a month, whereas we went into the six figures per month. Why? Because I made a decision as to who I was going to be. And that person was a multi-million-dollar coach. So I have to create an identity based on that. Like, who is the version of you who produces those results? How do they dress? How do they talk? How do they show up? How do they make decisions? You can tell from someone's presence if they mean what they're saying. So I made a decision that I was going to be that person. Now, at first, did it feel a little unnatural? 100%. The first time I went on stage, did I want to puke? Yeah. But you keep doing the emotional work and then going and embodying that, taking it out into the world, watching your thoughts. Every time I had a thought that didn't serve me, I would actually consciously choose the thought that was aligned with that person, the person who already made it all happen. And piece by piece, through the repetition of infusing the emotion in and then embodying it and going out into the world and interacting with the world in that way, and then getting better day after day, harmonizing with that person, you will become that person and you will get those results by law, by universal law. It will happen. So the first time I stepped on stage, people might have seen my hands shaking or my voice quivering, but I held that image. And as I spoke, it got better. Second time I got on stage, a huge jump closer towards that person that in my heart I knew I was, that I was emotionally conditioning myself to every day. And each time I got on stage, better and better and better. I threw an event in August. Someone came up to me right after. You need to speak on Mind Valley's stage. I have connections at Mind Valley. You're one of the best speakers out of any of those people there. They didn't see all the times that my hands were shaking, all the times that I visualized it, but I was committed to being that person. And here's something that everyone needs to take home with them. Everyone here has hidden commitments that they haven't realized. A lot of people in the world are more committed to their comfort than their goal. If you make a real decision, you've got to stay committed to that goal. That's why we set a date, because you commit without excuse, without waver, without doubt, without worry. You fully step into that person until that date. And if you don't hit that goal, you reflect and you set a new date. But at least you make that agreement with yourself and with the universe until that date to fully commit. Does that answer your question, Kayla?
Yeah, that was a really good line. Do you want to say it just one more time so we all can like embed it in our brain?
Yeah, which one about the commitments or
Everyone is more committed to their,
comfort?
yeah, okay.
Yeah. People are more committed to their comfort rather than their goal. So it's no wonder why change isn't occurring. Your nervous system will actually have a response every time you do something that's unfamiliar. That's why we have to get it familiar with that next level. You have to get your nervous system familiar and comfortable with the amount of money you want to make. Otherwise, you will self-sabotage long before it comes in without even realizing it. Okay. So if you guys want, I say we do a visualization. I think it's really good to do a visualization. Guided is the best, in my opinion. I'm also going to drop my Instagram. I just dropped it in the chat. If anyone has any questions, feel free to shoot it to me there. I have like pre-recorded visualizations and stuff. If anyone wanted something like that, shoot me a message. I'm more than happy to send something over for you. But for now, I want everyone to just take a second to get comfortable in their chair. You don't have to lie down, you can sit up. And in your own time, I want you to slowly start breathing in and long breaths out. Continue taking long, deep breaths into your heart center. If you haven't already, close your eyes. And as you breathe, I want your breaths to get longer and deeper. Longer and deeper. As you breathe, I want you to notice that there's this golden energy in the center of your heart that expands with every single breath. So as you breathe, it starts to fill your entire torso, and then it fills your entire body. And as you breathe, that golden energy fills the entire room that you're in. And anything that this golden energy touches completely relaxes and feels the love. And as you breathe, I want you to see that golden energy fill the entire building that you're in. And again, that energy expands to cover the entire town or city that you're in. I want you to feel how relaxed you are right now, so at peace. And on the screen of your mind, I want you to see yourself in a parking lot that is completely empty, other than one beautiful car in the middle of it. It's a hot summer day. The sun is shining. You can feel the sun on your skin. And you're walking towards the car. And I want you to just walk around the car, take it all in. It's one of the most beautiful cars, a car that maybe you've always wanted. And you walk up to the driver's side door. You feel the click as you go to open it. You get inside, and I want you to just look around. What color is the interior? What does it smell like? And you see the emblem on the wheel. I want you to run your fingers over the emblem, feeling all the little details underneath your fingertips. You turn the car on, and one of your favorite songs comes on. And you roll down the windows a little bit and you start to drive. And you can feel the warm wind in your face. You can feel the gratitude and the energy of that warm summer day. And you put on your blinker to turn left and you turn into this beautiful tree lined street. These beautiful estate properties on either side of the road. You put on your right hand blinker. You pull into the driveway of your beautiful large house. You turn off the car, you get out, and I want you to just stand there for 1 second and take it all in. And just think about how it feels to have stepped into the more that you knew you were meant for. And you walk up to the door, you put the key in and turn it. You walk inside, and I want you to just take it all in. What does it look like? What does it smell like? And you walk in through the kitchen to the big back windows looking out onto your property. And I want you to just stand there and look out for a second and feel the gratitude of having made all of this happen. And you walk over to the dining room, just a room over. There's a big long table, and there's a full size mirror on the wall. And I want you to just walk up to that mirror and take a look at yourself and take it all in. How are you dressed? What does your physique look like? What is your energy saying? And you hear someone, a loved one, coming up behind you, and they hold you from behind. They embrace you, and they just say in your ear, I am so proud of you. And they walk away. And you turn to the table. There's a notebook and a pen on the table, and you sit down. You open up a fresh page in the notebook, and you write, Dear past self. There's something I need to tell you. And you write. And when you're done writing, you sit there looking around your house, just in awe and gratitude, knowing that this was all meant to happen and that you were just a few key decisions away from it the whole time. I want you to take a big, deep breath in, feeling the emotion in your body. And I want you to wiggle your fingers and your toes, slowly bringing your awareness back to the room that you're in. And whenever you're ready, in your own time, you can slowly open your eyes. Now, I want everyone to understand that if you did see something vivid there, that life does exist. It exists in the here and now, too, as an electromagnetic frequency. And you have the ability to tap into that frequency. And if there was anyone who found the visualization challenging, I want you to understand you can develop your mental faculties, different parts of your mind, to be able to be effective at it. Sometimes, at first it's harder, but with practice, you can get there. Okay. So, as I said before, if anyone does have questions, feel free. You can always shoot me a message. I'm very active on Instagram. You can always shoot me a message there. I dropped my Instagram in the chat before. And take some time to sit with the ideas that were shared today. As I said, these can change your life, but only if you start actually internalizing them and operating with them. That's how they actually change your life. Okay. So thank you, Heather. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming on. I think I speak for everyone when I say that was very powerful, very impactful. And I think what a lot of us needed to hear. And yeah, it was awesome and a good, yeah, just recalibration, I think, for all of us. We've all got big goals. And I think what stood out for me was the embody thing. That word, as soon as you said it, I was like, I think that's going to be my guiding word for 2026. I
Mm,
usually I've been just like wondering, it usually speaks to me. And as soon as you said that, I was like, oh gosh, that's it. It just like hit me like um, yeah. And it's like Kim Fitzpatrick always said, be her now. Like you have to embody who you want to be now. That's it. Yeah.
yes, 100%. It's how you attract everything to you.
hmm
So I love that. You should make that your word of 2026.
I love that. Thank you. I think we all probably took something that we really needed from this. So thank you.
Mhm.
Does anybody have any questions or anything before we get off?
That was awesome. Thank you, Adam.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course, take these ideas and run with them. It was great meeting you guys.
Yeah. Thank you so, so much, Adam. I'm sure some of us will be in touch or have questions or things for you.
Of
Thank
course.
you.